What's up, my Finland loves? It's Miss Finland D coming to you all from Finland Entertainment News. Now, when Monique did her interview a few days ago with Shannon Sharp, well, it aired a few days ago. I don't know when they shot it, okay? But after that interview, she did address some things that happened between her and Dia Hughley, and he responded. I will not be playing his entire video because I already did a separate video on that, and I have linked that video in the description below for those of you who missed it. But this is what he had to say as it relates to Monique family.
What else you won't see Monique doing? You won't ever see her with her family, videos with her children or grandchildren, because nobody fucks with me. How do you have sweet babies when your own babies don't fuck with you? How do you love us for real when there's no evidence of anybody loving you for real, except your daddy, who you apparently have to pay? And FYI, daughters are paid for by daddies, not daddies who get paid by their daughters.
Most of you are aware that Monique refers to her supporters as her sweet babies, and she calls her husband daddy, okay? So that's what he was, referring to. For those of you who are not aware, Monique been very open about her difficult relationship with her oldest son, okay? Well, people who are new or recently are being reintroduced to Monique after her interview, they were like, oh, dear, Hughley is just saying that because he's upset and he's hitting below the belt. Well, Monique's son dropped a video. So we're going to hear what he had to say. And then I'm going to play what Monique and her husband had to say at the end. I already did his video separately, but then when I was about to upload it, Monique responded. So I'm like, why not just do one big video and, go ahead and end it. So let's get into their responses.
Hi, I am Shalon. I am a stand-up comedian, Monique's oldest son. I guess I felt the need to make this video to just provide some context into this false narrative about her praying to the universe in order to reconcile our relationship or whatever the hell it is. I wrote it all down so that way I don't go all over the place and get emotional or anything like that. So I'm gonna talk like I'm reading a script, but it's just gonna help me kind of stay together. But to address the Club Shay Shay interview that she did where she states that she prays to the universe in regards to reconciling our relationship, as I stated, is odd. My mother and I both know that that is a very false narrative, and I would like to free her of having to continue telling that lie. Faith without work is dead, and neither one of us cares to put forth any effort to reconcile with the other. We are separate, as she put it, because she doesn't care to be my mother any more than I care to be her son. Neither one of us has had the desire to reach out to the other in a very long time, and I don't think that either of us anticipates that feeling ever returning. Speaking with my mother directly, in my experience, will either lead to some odd newfound moment of clarity in regards to how she was as my mother, or she retreats back to daddy to move forward with a conversation. And I'm tired of hearing my mother's truths. Newsflash, I'm not sure if people know, but standing in your truth doesn't make you noble. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. But responding this way, I feel as though it allows me to say my piece uninterrupted. To those wondering, well, why say something now? Call it a form of therapy for me, I suppose. But when her daddy had intentionally stated that they have 3 sons, but his wife is on the internet talking about the 4th son in a video that has millions of views, that rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, to inform a child that you are not interested in being a mother at a time when that kid is the only kid that has the potential to lead a child to believe that you are not interested in them specifically. But to take it a step further, you also admit, my mother had also admitted to me that she didn't do the best job that she could do, which would also make one begin to question, all of your past decisions and prior emotional interactions. But to be completely honest and fair, those were things that I was willing to get over. Nobody's perfect. We're all human. But my mother showed a clear lack of humility, compassion, and consideration when taking any level of accountability for those things. My mother does a fantastic job of acknowledging a lot of things, but she doesn't take accountability very well, and anything that she may take true accountability for, it's only at her convenience, in my experience. But if I had to guess, though, her interest in being a mother probably started around the time that she married her daddy and had his children. But that interest, obviously seemed one-sided, and as it should have been. By that time, I'm in my late teens, so to some degree, the the neglect becomes easier to hide or validate, I guess you could say. There are now 2 baby boys in the house, that require attention. But still during that time, however, I still watched her enjoy the love and admiration of total strangers more than my own. To this very day, my mother has never expressed to me when, if ever, she became interested in me as her son. That did lead me down a path of questioning my self-worth and struggling to understand the value of a mother in a child's life. In the interview, she also states that she gave me an apology, but an apology to a son from a mother that consciously showed no interest in him holds no weight. There are still women to this day that my mother will give credit to for being more of a mother to me than she ever could. Her assistant, my cousin, being one of them. Every time, though, that my mother would state that she was right here whenever I was ready, that ideology still blows my mind today, that a person could openly admit to being an uninterested, not put my best foot forward type of parent and be so self-centered that they still express to the kid, you have to come to me when you're ready. You got to come to me for us to make this right. Okay. But I'm not sure what my mother could possibly think that she has shown me in the past or have for me now that's not money, goodness gracious, that would make me want to come to her or whatever those feelings are supposed to be. A mother is supposed to be the first woman that a boy falls in love with. I loved my mother very much, but my mother loved things more than she loved me, and she would validate her love for me by giving me things and would proceed to call me ungrateful or inconsiderate if said things did not have the desired effect. I couldn't imagine what it's like to be her, though, to ask God for what you want, and then he gives you what you need, though, only for you to ignore it and have the audacity to ask God for something else. And I'm glad I don't, I'm glad I didn't do that. And when he told you no, you went to the universe instead. By no means, though, do I want to give off any type of an impression that I am a victim of anything. It's not the case. As you can see, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm alive. I'm happy. I'm a dad. I'm healthy, I think. I drink a lot of water. I'm getting over a cold now. I still have my days just like everybody else. And, there were a few things that she did teach me along the way. I did learn how not to love from my mother. I also learned to make sure that I never lose so much of who I am that I have to validate it through another person. And though I feel as though, in hindsight, I think she did it reluctantly, I do appreciate my mother, for showing me what the top of the mountain looks like. You know what I'm saying? It did give me perspective on what hard work and dedication can get you, but I don't want something like that at the cost of giving up something that I created. I don't want it that bad. And speaking of creations, I genuinely, truly, I really did want my mother to have a relationship with my daughter. I even fought through those intrusive thoughts that were, if she wasn't interested in you, what makes you think she's going to be interested in your kid? But it took my mother no time at all to prove that those intrusive thoughts were correct. But what I can say, good for her, the universe did, bless her with 3 other sons. And God willing, I'm sure that all 3 of them are adults now. So I'm sure that one of them, God willing, if not all 3 of them, will make her the grandmother that she wants to be. I still look forward, to that moment for her. But overall, when it comes to the boys, though, I am happy that whenever they do hear me talk, sorry, my phone did something weird, but whenever they hear me talk, they don't know what it is. They can't relate to what it is that I'm saying. My experience with my mother is not their experience with our mother. So my prayer for her and them is that they continue to see her the way that they see her now. I do also want to make sure that I say thank you to my mother for giving me life. Without that moment in time, I wouldn't have had my little one. But outside of that moment, there isn't anything that either of us has to offer the other. In my opinion, it's a waste of God's time and the universe's time for praying for something that you were not willing to put forth any effort to obtain. Putting the work into becoming Monique is more important to my mother than being my mother. And I do not believe that it was never about her being there and waiting for me, but it was supposed to be about me being there and waiting for her. My mother's value had reached such a low point in my life that I no longer found it necessary to either want to wait for her or even go to her. But like I said, man, I'm super grateful that she has the opportunity to do it all over again. I'm happy for her. I hope the Cat Williams tour goes well, but the narrative that she prays for us to reconcile is a false narrative. It's not real, and I'd appreciate it if she stopped saying stuff like that.
Hey, babies.
Hey.
We just wait for y'all to come on in the room so we can have this conversation with our community. What is that? Oh, we could. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Let's rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
The title of our conversation, or the theme of it, is called The Long Way Around, because ain't no shortcuts. Pickles, stop playing with that paper, please. The reason we're having it is a multitude of reasons, but we're going to start off with, there was a Instagram that was put up, or I guess?
It was TikTok, baby.
TikTok that was put up by?
My son. My oldest son, Shalon. And this is what I want to say to this. There are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I'll say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that said to me, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we'll watch this play out. And I do want to address this, though, Shalon. When you say her daddy, then that's when mommy going to say stop playing, because this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her 3 sons, yes, you're absolutely right. He has 3 sons. He can't claim you his son because he's always been Uncle Sid, and he knows your daddy very well.
And love that brother. And the irony of all of this is not what is said, but what's left off.
Yes.
See, you're leaving off the fact that the last time we laid eyes on you, your mother got you everything you needed for the newborn baby about 3 years ago. You're forgetting about how I, from Georgia, am talking you through getting your car after we gave you the half the down payment for it, and you were 31 years of age, 32 years of age at that point, and I'm negotiating the deal with the dealer for you as you sit there, and you have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother. These are the things that you're leaving out when you're expressing what you're expressing in reference to your mother. You're not expressing the relationship that you have with your father, where you spoke ill to him, not to mention spoke ill to your mother, but somehow your mother and father and I all have a loving relationship and communicate back and forth because of the love that we have for you. The one thing these individuals, and to the individuals out here that oftentimes speak after they've heard one side of the story, there's an old saying, believe half of what you see and none of what it is that you hear. Please don't take our word for it, but what we will convey is this. Those who are parents and have raised their parents up to being adults.
Their children. Raise their children up to being adults.
Right on. Those who are parents that raise their children into adulthood know that there comes a time and a place in which they determine their own decisions, their own path. You can have multiple children that are raised in one house, but they act and they take on different things. The reason why it was so important for us to entertain these conversations that we typically have privately, or that we're influenced to have privately amongst the people in our community, is because we need to stop being embarrassed about being human beings and about being Black human beings. You will oftentimes hear us saying we are embarrassing ourselves in front of them. Who is them?
Who are they?
Because when you hear someone articulate these things, that is the slave's mentality. That makes us believe that we as Black people need to conduct ourselves with dignity because white people are watching. You should conduct yourself with dignity because the spirit of you is watching.
Come on.
But we need to have these conversations out loud and taboo because we have a finite period of time together here on this earth. You will travel through infinity with the spirit that you have all alone, and you will not remember the ridicule that you receive, but you will be judging yourself. You will be determining for the rest of your life which way that you go as you have thus far. So this conversation is about speaking directly to what situations are. And many people oftentimes, when they are presented with an issue, they stay quiet, they hide, they disappear. And what we're saying is that's not who we are, because what you cannot do is you cannot trick an honest person.
Come on.
You can demean, you can say whatever you want to say about them negatively, but what will happen is truth has a way of standing the test of time. I forgot to have my phone to read the last text message that I gave to you, Shalon, where I told you about the understanding of how you are speaking to a woman and how you as a man and how you perceive things may be completely different from how your wife, how your mother, how your sister, how your daughter will look at things. And when you learn how to communicate a little bit better, then things will happen a little bit better. Young man, because of the challenges that this young brother has had with mental illness. So we're communicating that out loud to speak to our community, to say, listen, y'all, if we have more public conversations, there will be less private angst.
Come on.
There will be less private issues that we carry on because we're afraid to communicate in front of white folks.
So when we get to a place where you want to be free, you will stop being scared to say what's real. You'll stop being fearful of having conversations that normally take place in private and nobody ever really knows the outcome.
Our great ancestor, Bob Marley, some people are so poor all they have is money.
Come on.
Don't be that.
Come on.
Don't be that.
I'm sorry to be chocolate. When I hear you, when I hear my son, when I hear you, Shalon, talk about money and stuff, it's like, baby, as I told you when you were younger, I told you as a man, don't let nobody introduce you to me. You know who your mama is.
And when folks speak in reference to calling your seed, sometimes, especially when your seed decided to call things off with you because you didn't move for a 34-year-old, 32-year-old man in the time that he wanted to do, because you as a mother, you as an entertainer, you as an actress, you as a grandmother, you as a wife, allotted the time to see him, but he pushed you away. But then when it's time for him and it doesn't work for you, now it's a problem. Listen, it comes a point in time where when you become a man, when you become a woman, it is your obligation to do for you. To do for you. At 31, brother, 32, I'm sitting there on a conversation at the behest of your mother. Why? For you. Because I love my nephew. And we still love you, Shalon. That's why your mother and your father interact with one another, to let them be aware of what's happening with you. So if you think you're not loved, that's because you're not paying attention. And there are other dynamics that fall into play, in which we completely understand. And for you too, we're going to keep the light on for you. But I find it extremely ironic that the last time you saw me, you wanted to be able to call me dad. And I couldn't allow you to call me dad because there's only one dad in your life. And he's a friend of ours.
Come on.
He's a friend of ours. So, again, we as people of color, let us stop being embarrassed about having conversations out loud, because you never know who you could be helping. Please do not allow people to embarrass out of life. I don't care if you're in the LGBTQ community. I don't care if you want to change your profession. I don't care. Whatever it is that you want to do, we have a finite amount of time to live on this plane. Please do not live on this plane based upon the ridicule you may or may not receive by from someone else. Be your authentic self, because you're going to travel eternally by yourself. You can be in a room full of people, but you are always by yourself, because your thoughts are right here. The spirit of who you are is right here. Be true to your spirit.
Now, people were really upset that she allowed her husband, who is not his father, to speak. And as you can see in these comments, you know, her son name deserved more respect than to have his stepdad call him nephew. And you avoid how he feels. And he's your black son. Really, Mo? Messy, deadbeat mom. Go mend the relationship with your real sweet baby, Chad. And this video is almost 30 minutes long, so there's no way I'm going to sit here and read these comments. I might do a separate video, but there's a lot of comments, so people are not happy with Monique right now. All I can say is that I do wish the entire family the best and that they're able to work through it. And I do wish healing for her son, because like they said, you know, she's calling her supporters her sweet babies when her actual baby is hurting. So I will lift them up in my prayers and I wish them healing. I'm wishing all of you well and take care. My loves, thank you all for your love and support. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up. Also turn on notifications so when I do post, you're aware that I posted. And I will see you all in the comment section. Remember to always have the God bless attitude, which is being positive at all times and seeing the good in every situation. Have a great day, guys. God bless.